Mega Evolution is one of the most beloved mechanics to be added to the Pokemon series. But why? So yeah, on the surface level, it's a pretty simple answer. Your Pokemon gets extra spikes and edges and looks way more hardcore and badass, and gets a big power boost so you can just one-shot everything. But I think there's way more to it than that. There's three primary reasons that I think it works so well in the nerdy hearts of most Pokemon fans. The design, the mechanics, and the third, and by far the most important reason, the context. I know that sounds vague and mysterious, but I'll elaborate on it later. First, let's break down why Mega Evolution is so cool from a purely visual standpoint. Most Megas were designed with one specific element in mind, and I mean that it was a different thing for every single Mega, making each one unique. Essentially, I think they took one aspect of the Pokemon's original design and brought that out as much as they possibly could. Let's look at some examples like Mega Blastoise. The base form of Blastoise's primary design is centered around the two cannons on his shoulders. It's what sets him apart from being just a normal cartoon turtle. So the natural evolution to that is to put more emphasis on the cannons. So now he has a giant cannon on his back and one on each arm, and is overall just more cannon-y. But this goes for most other Megas. Altaria is more cloudy, Mawile is more mouthy, Camerupt is more volcano-y, Houndoom is more bony, Beedrill is more needly, Venusaur is more flowery and leafy, and Alakazam is more spoony. And he's a little smarter too, but you get the idea. So if you liked a Pokemon for a specific reason, chances are you'll think the Mega is even cooler because the Mega becomes the epitome of what you liked in the first place. It plays off nostalgia in that way too, still being the same Pokemon you like and not deviating too far from that to become a completely new Pokemon, while also definitely being an upgrade. Just a bigger, better, stronger, amped up version of the same Pokemon. Of course, not all of them fit perfectly into this criteria. In fact, some of them add brand new aspects to their design, like how Mega Pinsir sprouts wings and flies despite showing no intention of taking flight in his regular form, or Mega Mewtwo X, who drops every ounce of psychic brain power in favor of a more hands-on approach. Another similar example is Swampert, who is more big and muscular, even though being a gym bro isn't something I would argue that Swampert necessarily indicates. And then there's some that are kind of like a mix, like Ampharos, growing brand new wool and a wonderful head of hair, which is new to Ampharos, but is still a callback to his pre-evolutions of Mareep and Flaffy. And same with Mega Dragonite, who, as they said, has much more Dragonair-like features with its eyebrow wings and pearl on its tail. No matter which way you look at it, each Mega Evolution adds something new to the design, whether it was there before or not. So if you're a fan of more complex designs with more components and just bigger and better stuff added on top, then you'd probably like the look of Megas. And seeing as how Megas are so popular, I'd say most people like those complicated designs. They also bring out these specific elements in the design in a way that's supposed to look imposing and intimidating. And a lot of them embody what the lore of Mega Evolution is supposed to be, them going further in power than what was previously thought to be possible. Like how Mega Glalie jaw splits open, the crystals and rocks stick out of Steelix and Aerodactyl, and then Sharpedo's scars or Lopunny's ripped pants. All signifying the power of Mega Evolution is so strong that it's just bursting at the seams. They all have this battle-worn look with all these jagged edges, and the result across the board is Pokemon that look more dangerous and more powerful, and overall, just much cooler. Which also leads me into the second thing that makes Mega so cool, which is how the mechanic actually works, by giving you stat boosts, and in some cases, a new ability or typing. This one's pretty simple. It feels cool to win, and having these way overpowered Pokemon makes it really easy to win. But Megas are so insanely overtuned that you aren't just winning with these in most cases, you are absolutely obliterating your opponents. Like full-on sweeping opposing teams, and there is no cooler way to win a Pokemon battle than by doing it with a full-on sweep. So they don't just look strong, they feel strong to use as well. And if we've learned anything so far, more strength and more power equals more coolness. Let's take a look at some specific stats. Heracross and Mewtwo X get massive boosts to their physical attack, all the way to 190 and 185 respectively, both of which are higher stats than anything that's currently in Generation 9. Yeah, even the current power creep has not caught up to them. And I think it's a pretty cool feeling to be able to hit harder than literally anything else in the game without any need for setup, and especially with zero drawback. On the defensive side, you have Mega Aggron with a whopping 230 defense stat, which still eclipses Zamazenta after Dauntless Shield activates. Add to that the fact that they got rid of his rock typing to get rid of his 4x weaknesses, and even added the ability filter to reduce damage taken from super effective moves. And that gives you a Pokemon that is practically indestructible, which is a pretty cool feeling to feel like you can never be one-shot by pretty much anything. It also feels very cool to use Megas in a way that's different from the base form, by having access to new abilities and typings. The most infamous example of a Mega with a brand new ability is Kangaskhan with Parental Bond, which is probably still the most broken ability ever introduced. I mean, being able to hit twice with every single move you use is just an unmatched feeling, and comboing that with moves like Power Up Punch that give you a boost, it's the coolest thing you can do in a Pokemon game because it lets you just completely overwhelm your opponent. And as for typings, of course, how could I forget Mega Charizard X, which really needs no explanation. But this guy really is the prime example of Megas being the pinnacle of what makes them strong, finally bringing out the Dragon-type power that was dormant within him, and being able to use stab Dragon-type moves on a Charizard was something every single Pokemon fan dreamed of. Overall, these Pokemon make you feel unstoppable and invincible. They let you use Pokemon in ways that simply weren't possible before, and they feel special, getting specific stat distributions, types, and abilities completely unique to them. As much as I love the wide availability of things like Terra or Dynamax, Megas felt more special to use. They just stand out more. They're more flashy, not just in their designs and animations, but also in their ability to do what many other Pokemon couldn't do before. Which brings me to the third and final reason that Megas are so widely loved: the context around when they were introduced. Pokemon X and Y felt monumental when they were first announced. Like the biggest, most groundbreaking thing to happen to the series since, well, Pokemon Red and Green. So anything new they introduced was directly linked to that feeling of it being this giant leap forward for the series, giving it that extra wow factor. And how do you compound on that groundbreaking feeling even more? By breaking the fundamental rules of the Pokemon universe. Pokemon aren't supposed to evolve after they reach the third stage, and legendary Pokemon aren't supposed to evolve either. But of course, Mega Evolution completely defies these rules that had been established and unbroken for 15 years at that time. I think it's pretty safe to say that it was one of the most mind-blowing and hypest things the entire Pokemon fanbase had ever witnessed. Add to that the fact that this was the first gimmick. We've got Z-moves, Dynamax, and Terra since, and each one of those breaks different in-game rules, but Megas did it first. Now we expect the rules to be broken, but Megas were completely unexpected. We had no reason to think anything like that would ever be added. You also have to think about what came before X and Y, with Gen 5. We were just coming off of a generation in which older nostalgic Pokemon got shafted in favor of a completely new dex that was practically a soft reset for the series. So people were craving their old favorites more than I crave a crisp Baja Blast after a couple days without it. So they gave the people exactly what they wanted, all of their old favorites, while also giving them a brand new way to use some of them, a much cooler and stronger way. Not to mention how fan-servicey a lot of these Megas were. I talked about how great Mega Charizard X was, but just really think about how everyone had no reason to think that Charizard would ever get to be a Dragon type. Like, no one had any hope that it would ever actually happen, and yet it still did. And that's exactly what so many people wanted, and they actually got it, making it seem like there was always a chance that your favorite Pokemon could become everything you ever wanted them to be. Just imagine, Ninetales with Ghost type added, Flygon could become Dragon Bug, and we could get Slacking with huge power. The possibilities seemed endless. Mega Evolution made Pokemon feel like they could do anything. They could be anything, and you could go beyond what you thought was possible, defy expectations, and become something even faster, even tougher, even stronger than anything imaginable. That is what made Mega Evolution so cool. It gave us hope and showed us that we all have the potential to become something more than we thought was possible. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to subscribe.